What if instead of his copy curse technique, Yuta instead had the powers of Archer from the Fate series? Let's talk about it, but some slight spoilers beware. Alright, first up, shout out to Thanatos for asking me about this today, and this is funny because I do think that Unlimited Braid Works must have been at least a little bit of an inspiration for Yuta's domain expansion, something that Thanatos points out as well. But for those of you unfamiliar with the Fate series, Thanatos does a really quick write-up here explaining what Archer's powers are, but I'm going to give you the even shorter version, so pause this if you'd like to. But again, there's Unlimited Blade Works, which is kind of like Yuta's domain, except there's no sure hit effect, right? But also he's a master of adapting. Like, he quickly learns about things. He's a master of martial combat, particularly with ranged weapons. But essentially what he can do is like call forth other people's weapons and abilities from this verse and use them. And basically he can use them an amount of times equal to his skill with that thing and his experience with that thing. And also he can do this kind of trade-off where for using it less, it gets an extreme burst in power, kind of like a binding vow, right? So if we're taking that system and giving it to Yuta within JJK instead of his copy technique, then I think it's strictly better, right? Obviously, we need to translate this to JJK. So in this case, instead of Rika needing to consume someone to give Yuta access to their technique, if he just sees it, if he just experiences it, he'll be able to use it himself. So that's a far easier barrier to entry for him to use it, right? Also, there's seemingly no limit on what he can do, whereas for him, it depends on how much Rika ate and how powerful the curse technique is. So yeah, aside from losing the sure hit of the domain compared to Unlimited Blade Works, I think this is just a better form of his copy, right? Because it has less restrictions on it. So, again, in a universe where we just translate all of this stuff to apply to curse techniques, I think it's better. But if we are just literally copy and pasting this to JJK, it's probably worse because there's not like as many weapons and things that Yuta would be able to call forth and copy compared to the Fate verse, if that makes sense. But I don't really think that's what Thanatos was asking. I think he was asking for the translated version. But y'all let me know your thoughts.